So we're celebrating Women's Month in South Africa, and coincidentally, I'm a head judge on a reality TV show here in our local community called Ster Status, Season 4. And as celebrity judge, as head judge, I get to observe the journey of the contestants, these young women who have stuck up their hand to participate in this competition. And one of the things I notice that each one of them stumble into, perhaps in a different way, some less, some more, is this trap of comparison. So imagine with me, you're in the room, so you're in the competition and it's your time to shine. And there's a couple of challenges, I can't give them away. You'll be seeing, launching next week it is, we'll start to air some of those challenges and competitions. I really look forward to sharing them with you. However, what I can say is that it's interesting to me how in a particular challenge, how easy it is for a person to not be there. What do I mean? So in this trap of comparison, whilst you have something to do, there's a task that you've been given, and most of that, the task is doable. Perhaps there's a skill that you had to learn, perhaps there's something you had to revisit, perhaps you're stretched to the edge of your comfort zone. However, the physicality of it, the physical skill, the competence, the experience of that individual, that life experience, business experience, family experience, that's not what gets in the way. So as I look in and I look into how they behave, how people hold themselves in posture, how they posture themselves in conversation, the language they choose to use, and the words they choose to use in their language, I quickly noticed that they're not here. They're not participating in the actual event. And one of the reasons why is there's something that they're believing about themselves that they feel that they need to compare, this trap of comparison. What I mean is that perhaps you feel inferior. For you to feel inferior to the people around you when you're participating in an event, when there's a challenge or a task, I wonder how much of your conscious awareness, I call it real-time awareness, is really focused on what you're busy with. Or are you somewhere else? So often I notice, either in the behavior or the words, I notice how easy it is to get outside of the moment. Perhaps in the past, and go and defend oneself to feel like, yeah, I've got to do this now. But don't they know? What if they find out? What if they found out about my past or my history or how difficult it was to get? And there's a cascade of ideas that evoke emotion, and that emotion sits in the body. And when that emotion in the body is triggered, then there's an experience, a physical body experience, and you're distracted. That individual is then distracted from the moment, and they're pulled up into that moment, that flashback, that memory. Another way that people get stuck in this trap of comparison is perhaps not in the moment, perhaps not in the past, but they're over concerned about the future. It's this what if they only knew, if they know how I feel right now, if they could see inside my body and they could feel how nervous I am, if they could see how insecure or uncertain, whatever words fit, and then you go into this worst case scenario thinking. The individual gets caught, again, pulled out of the moment and into the future. So it's a hallucination, an imagination, an imagined future. And they're emoting, their emotions and their thinking and their feeling, their physical body is then pulled out of this moment to try and go and solve a moment, a problem, an experience that hasn't even happened yet. And whilst they're so busy trying to prevent something that may or may not happen, which is it's a hallucination, it's imagined. And yes, there's a sense of it feels real because it physically feels real in your body when you're feeling the emoting, but you're not there yet. And I wonder if you identify with this, perhaps at work, perhaps at home, is that when we do one of those two things, we compare ourselves. When I compare myself to other people, I get pulled out of the moment. And I can get pulled into the future. And just because I experience something in my body, my somatic experience, so there's a physicality to it. I have this concern or this fear, this anxiety, and my body responds. And because my physical body is responding, I mistake that fear to be real. It's still imagined, it's still a hallucination. And on the other side, the flip side of the same coin, I go back to, I'm in this moment, we call it a flashback. I'm triggered to a memory of a time of past. And because the thoughts and the memory trigger something in my physical body, because I'm emoting, my body responds to it, I mistake that past flashback to be a current reality. And in that moment, when I'm comparing myself with the people around me, with their skill or their expertise, or perhaps I think, so as a guy, I would think they're more handsome than me, or as a girl, as a lady, there's this question, am I beautiful enough? Am I as beautiful as that one? Am I elegant do I have the same, my facial features, the structure of my face, the hair, the color, all of that. There's so many things that we get caught in that takes us out of the moment into another moment, just because we're comparing ourselves with something else or someone else. And what would you need to believe about yourself so that you could stay in the moment, that you are worthy, that you're good enough, that you're wonderfully made, just the way that you are, unique? As I was saying to a friend the other day, in a cosmos full of stars, there's a creator that is so vast, created every single thing, and yet everything created is unique, and you are one of them. And as you can stay in the moment and push back the urge to compare, and not get trapped in this comparison, understanding that in your uniqueness, there's no one else like you. And if you can stay in that moment of you and find peace, to feel in your physical earth suit, in your body, that it's okay to be me, what result would you have? How would things change? How would you be able to perhaps stay in the present moment just a little longer? And whilst you're in that moment, what resources could you access? What skills or experience, or even a new skill learned just a moment ago, perhaps still fresh in your memory, it would be accessible to you when you stay in the moment. The trap of comparison, one of those easy things to do that robs us of the opportunity to be present and to be our most authentic self. And I'm not talking about perfect, and I'm not talking about, you are amazing just the way that you are. And I wonder what would you need to believe to show up more like you more often?